Greetings everybody, and welcome to Budget Battles, the format we've created for Lupine Weekly this year, where the only rule is you've gotta build your deck for under $50. This week, and the introductory week I suppose, we've decided to bring out the channel mascot once more, because you know what? It's been a while since we saw him. We are playing Guru and Friends, a deck that I stumbled across on the web at some point that aims to utilize Subterra's unending control tools, together with cards like the Eldritch Engine and Diabel Star, in order to try and just essentially control the board for a turn or two and then summon a bunch of giant bunguses and just try to beat for game when your opponent is out of resources. Do I think it'll work great? Honestly, I don't know, and that's why we're here to try it. Now, because this is the first episode in a while, I'm going to introduce the Lupine Weekly to you folks. It is the locals hosted over on my community Discord, which we do every Sunday at 7 p.m. Swedish time, which I believe now is CEST. Don't quote me though, I might have it on screen, and if I don't, you figure it out. Where we just, we have some fun together. We play a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh!, we play some silly decks, we see where that can go, and usually we have a great time. This season, and for the majority of 2025, we have decided to limit ourselves to $50, so we are only going to be building budget decks. The ban list is a custom one where we deal with problem cards of the format that may just be slightly too strong for $50, that might not be interactable or might not be fun or whatever. But for the time being, and for the first 4 episodes of this series, it's going to be the standard TCG ban list that we are following. So, in case you see any cards that are banned in the normal TCG or their numbers look slightly off sometimes, now you know why. In addition to this, in case we are playing such a card, I will always provide an alternative to make the deck TCG legal. At the end of our little locals experience, I will be rating the deck we are currently playing based on these 5 criteria. The power level. How strong is the end board or the major game plan of the deck actually? The consistency in how often we manage to get to that end board if we are left to our own devices. The resistance, which is how well the deck resists interaction from our opponent. The sideboarding, how well the deck will do in games 2 and 3, and then how fun the deck actually was to play. The maximum score out of all these categories is 50 as we search for the best budget deck possible. Now, let's actually have a look at this week's deck. Of course, we are playing a couple of engines together with our Subterra Control, thus the name Guru and Friends. We are playing 2 copies of Subterra Guru, which on flip can add a Subterra card from your deck to your hand, except Subterra Guru. Normally speaking, we will be searching the negate. You can then target one other face-up monster on the field and change that monster and this card to face-down defense position. This is a quick effect if you control another Subterra card. Usually doesn't come up that often, but it is quite a handy effect. Normally, what we'll be searching is Subterra Fiendess. When your opponent activates a card or effect, as a quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, then target a Subterra you control, negate the activation, and then change the targeted monster to face-down defense position. Additionally, you can target one face-up monster you control, change it to face-down defense position, and if you do, special summon a Subterra from your hand or graveyard. Normally, that second effect never comes up. You are mostly just pitching Fiendess as a quick negate and resetting your Guru to be able to search another Fiendess, or possibly the third card we have, in order to keep your combos going. And by combo, I mean not letting your opponent play the game. Our third and last Subterror monster card is Nemesis Archer. At the start of the damage step, if this card attacks an opponent's face-down position monster and you control another Subterror, you can shuffle that monster into the deck. Non-targeting, it just poofs it out of existence. If it is sent from the field by battle or card effect, you can special summon a Subterror monster from your deck in face-up or face-down defense position. Generally, Nemesis Archer is a card that comes in turns 3 and beyond in order to basically work together with Guru to flip a bunch of cards away. It rarely comes up, but playing one is usually worth it. Alright, as for the Eldritch Engine, which you are probably more familiar with, so I'll gloss over it very quickly. Eldritch, of course, you can send him and a spell trap from your hand to the graveyard to target a card on the field and then send it to the graveyard. Not destroying, very important. You can then also, while he's in the graveyard, send a spell or trap card that you control to the graveyard in order to add him back to your hand and then special summon a zombie monster, and that zombie monster gains 1000 attack and defense and can't be destroyed by card effects until your next turn. Usually he comes in as a very recursive beater that just tends to stick around and be very, very annoying. On top of this, you of course have the trap card he revolves around. You have Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine that can summon him from the graveyard or deck. You have Hakeru of the Golden Land that, as long as you control an Eldritch when it is activated and summoned, can banish a card. from the graveyard specifically, and Conquistador, which destroys a face-up card on the field when summoned if you control an Eldritch. Of course, at the end of the turn, if either of these are in your graveyard, they can set another one. Hakero and Conquistador can set the Elixir, and the Elixir can set any of the other two. Very recursive engine that just likes to beat face. As for our last engine, we are playing Diabellstar. Now that it no longer has Snake Eyes to rely on, Diabellstar has fallen in price rapidly, which is a very, very good thing for us. You can send a card from your hand to special summon this, which is really good with most of the Eldritch cards, as they don't mind being in the graveyard anyway, and then search a Sinful Spoils spell or trap card. You can search the Searcher if you really feel like you want to, but generally you don't. You will instead search Silvera, which is a targeted negate, as long as you send Diabellstar to the graveyard, or the more interesting card, Reselia. Reselia lowers the attack of all your opponent's monsters by 2,500, and then if any of their attacks become 0, they are destroyed. Unfortunately, on the next standby phase, your little girl will die. And as the final quote-unquote engine to the deck, we are of course playing 3 Red Eyes Fusion and our Red Eyes Dark Dragoon alongside Dark Magician and Red Eyes Black Dragon. This deck benefits greatly from playing Dragoon simply because we normally don't need to special or summon anything else during our turn, as we are just prone to set Guru. Guru being set is usually good enough on its own if we also open the Hidden City, which is the field spell to the Sub-Terrors. Essentially, it just lets you flip up Guru. I didn't cover it before, but it's there. Trust me, you'll notice it. As for more generic cards in the deck, we are playing a Pot of Prosperity. We're playing 6 different Ghost Girls, 2 Belle, 2 Moonlit Chill, and 2 Ogre. We are also playing the Terraforming and the Called by the Grave, because these do come up from time to time. In addition to this, we're playing another trap card that we didn't cover, which is Subterra Final Battle. This has a bunch of effects, so you can activate one of them each turn, and then this card resets itself, but it changes a set Subterra monster to face up or face down defense, or sorry, face up or face down defense position, depending on whether or not it was face up or face down beforehand. You can combine the attack and defense of a Subterra this turn, or you can make it so that your Subterra cards cannot be negated this turn. With all of that covered, in our extra deck, we of course have our legendary Dragoon himself. We've got 2 super polymerization targets in Garura and Mud Dragon of the Swamp, a Synchro and Draco Berserker of the Tenyi, this being the most generic 8 we can make, because shockingly enough, right, our Ghost Girls are level 3 tuners, and they do break our hand from time to time. All of the Eldritch Spelltrap summonables are level 5s, so we can actually fairly easily get into an 8, and Draco Berserker sometimes comes up. We then have We then have Constellar Pallades, which is 2 level 5 monsters that lets us spin a card, which is, of course, if you get 2 of these guys on board. And then we have the Underbow Goddess of the Coast World. We have a Boral Sword Dragon, because sometimes we just need to be able to win the game. We have an Avramax, an Axis Code Talker, a Nightmare Unicorn, a Nightmare Phoenix. We got Moon of the Closed Heaven, mostly because this is a very cheap 2 that sometimes comes up when we can make Underbow Goddess of the Coast World. We have IP Masquerena, Link Spider, because all of these are considered normal monsters, so we can sometimes make a Link Spider if we need an effect monster. And lastly, we have a card that I don't think a human being has ever seen. This is Flying Ameri, the Wandering Ghost Ship. It is made using 2 zombie monsters, and it can target one of your level 5 or higher zombie monsters that is banished or in your graveyard. Place this card in your spell trap zone as a continuous spell, and if you do, special summon that monster. While this card is a continuous spell, you can target a level 5 or higher monster you control, that has to be a zombie, then destroy a monster your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to that monster. It's a weird way for us to get back Eldritch in case Eldritch gets banished and we desperately need it back, because we can use the traps to make this. We can also use the Ghost Girls, them all being zombies. Comes up very rarely, but when it does, having this card is a very nice thing. Alright, and for our sideboard, we are carrying a lot of substandard control tools just in case our package isn't enough already. We're running 2 Radion, just in case we run into a towers that we can't deal with otherwise, 2 Dark Ruler No Mores, again, just in case they have set up such a board that we can't interact with it otherwise, Heartbeast Feather Duster, and 2 Cosmic Cyclone to deal with the back row and other problematic cards, the 3 Super Polymerization that go together with our extra deck just in case we need to deal with lots of threat on the board without response, 2 Deck Lockdown, which is essentially Joel and Lockbird as a continuous spell, and we don't really care if it's active if our Eldritch engine is online. And lastly, 3-Dimensional Barrier, just in case we run into a deck where 1 summoning type is very important. That is going to be the entirety of the deck. It cost us $46.14. Let's take this to locals. All right then, for the first game of this week, we went up against Lardax, who is on Crystal Beast control. We go ahead and we fire Red Eye's Fusion with no worries here, getting a Red Eye Star Dragoon on the field and setting a bluff in Silvera. He's going to go for Rainbow Bridge of the Heart, getting an extra normal summon for the Tortoise, which we are going to then hit with the Ghost Ogre to destroy Rainbow Bridge of the Heart. He's going to fire off a Crystal Bond, searching himself the Rainbow Dragon, setting the Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus. He goes to battle phase, and he's going to go in and crash into the Dragoon in order to activate the effect of the Crystal Dragon to special summon it. He does take a little bit of damage here, and then is able to trade off the Dragoon off the field. He is going to activate the Crystal Beast to summon Emma Manoth and get the Rainbow Dragon to his hand. And then summon the Pink Panther, passing turn. This isn't necessarily great for us, but we should be able to deal with it, especially when we draw first Eldland. We'll ping ourselves for 800 and get ourselves a Conquistador. We will pitch the Conquistador to summon Diabell Star, searching for Reselia. With that, we are just going to go to the battle phase. We can't attack this turn, unfortunately, but we're going to go for the Conquistador to that Elixir. Now we have a board wipe set, but that's just about everything that we've got. He's going to go for Cross Sheep. We're going to hit this with the Ghost Mourner. He's going to go for Golden Rule, setting 2 and getting the Mammoth on board. Dragon is going to search the Topaz Tiger. Yes, he gets another Rainbow Dragon here. He's going to go for Dagaris, which we're immediately going to hit with the Reselia to blow up the entire board, summon an Eldritch during the end phase, and pass back to us. We draw an RAF, which is completely useless, and unfortunately our Diabell Star dies here due to Reselia. We're going to search ourselves another Eldritch so we can pitch it, destroy the Crystal Beast Pegasus, and special summon it back to get a full board of damage, and punch in for game. I think that game showcases really well just how good we can actually be when we get to control the board for a majority of the time. But up against Lardax's absolutely cracked Crystal Beast list, that's not going to last long. Game number 2, we open Hand Trap City going second, but is that going to be enough? We are going to see a Rainbow Bridge searching for Golden Rule. Golden Rule is an incredibly good card that I keep forgetting actually exists. Crystal Bond is going to search for Ruby Carbuncle, setting the Sapphire Pegasus from the deck. He's then going to activate the Golden Rule, getting back the... Look, he has 3 Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus here. It's crazy. We do go ahead and negate the Carbuncle, but unfortunately he has a Crystal Beacon for another one, and we don't have another stopper here. He manages to resolve not 1, not 2, but 3 Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus in the same chain. I think that deserves a reward in and of itself, but there is not anything we are going to be able to do to that. That's absolutely fucking crazy. He manages to pop off for a majority of this turn, essentially doing more than what I could ever call full combo. He goes for Dagaris. Dagaris is going to draw 2 additional... Oh, actually, it's not going to draw 2 additional cards. It's going to summon the, whatever her face is. He goes for the Skull Dread, which I decide this is about as good of a time as any to get the Ghost Ogre down, just so he can't get advantage. He does draw another Rainbow, whatever on earth that thing is called that I keep forgetting. It's called Awakening. Then he goes for Walls of the Imperial Tomb, using Rainbow Bridge of Salvation's Graveyard effect. He's going into Horus. Horus for under 50 bucks to me is insanity. I don't know how on earth he manages to afford this, but he's going to Imseti for the King's Sarcophagus and drawing an additional card because that's what they do. He's going to overlay for Infernal Flame Banshee to go for the Nemesis engine as well in order to go into, whatchamacallit. Thunder Dragon Colossus is the name of it. He goes for the Nemesis flag play, of course, does the thing, searches corridor. You've probably seen this be played a million times before, realistically. He goes for the Rainbow Dragon, then goes for the Cross Sheep, then goes for Rainbow Over Dragon, which brings back Carbuncle to summon Topaz Tiger. He then goes into Pit Knight Eerie, activating King's Sarcophagus, pitching a card to get another of the Horus cards into the graveyard, summons 2 of the Horus cards, overlays them for number 38 Hope Harmbringer, goes for the 11k Ultimate Rainbow Crystal Beast Overdrive, gets the Nemesis Corridor, and then goes for the Colossus, and that is the end board. Now, I want you to just take a look at this end board and realize here that there's not much we can really do. Yes, we can super poly 2 targets off the board, but with 4 of those targets being live interactions, obviously Colossus preventing us from drawing cards for Diabell Star, which we could use to kill the rest of the board, Hope Harbinger being a spell negate, which would stop the spell we search with Diabell Star anyway. We have the Ultimate Rainbow Crystal Overdrive, whatever it is, that can be tributed to shuffle all the cards back into the deck, and same thing with the Rainbow Over Dragon. There's a lot of interaction on this board, and I don't think we'd have a chance at breaking it, but we do go for the Super Poly. We get Garura on the board. We're going to discard Harpies for the Diabell Star. We're going to get Reselia set, and we're just going to go to battle and clear off the Colossus ones. Colossus has to ban Nemesis's Corridor, which is great. We punch over the Aerie. We get to draw a card. Aerie, of course, comes back. The card we draw is the Hidden City, which is actually pretty good, but we cannot search this turn due to Colossus, so we're kind of fucked regardless. Cross Sheep is going to come, obviously bring back a card here because there is a fusion in its zone, which is just unfortunate. As you can imagine here, anything he does at this point, we just have to activate Reselia. Everything has to be blown up. We do blow up a majority of his board due to a bad attack, but the Horus cards comes back, and now he's sitting on more Horus cards, and we really can't do much. Unfortunately here, our Diabell Star is going to die, and realistically speaking here, Colossus was still alive. There's not much we could have done. Colossus would have stopped us from searching anything with Hidden City. It's not an activated effect, so the Ghost Ogre Bijou wouldn't have done anything. We were kind of screwed in this game. Alright, game 3. We actually open really weirdly. We do open deck lockdown, which is very good against his deck, so we're going to go for the Diabell Star play. We're going to get the Negate and Silvera this time. We are just going to go ahead and we're going to activate the Elixir to get a Conquistador onto the board. And we are going to activate deck lockdown, and we're going to pass. Not the greatest hand in the universe, but it is something. He's going to go for Rainbow Bridge of the Heart, activate Rainbow Bridge of the Heart to get Crystal Fire Pegasus. We're going to negate the Pegasus using Silvera because that's one of his starters. We're then going to pitch the unnecessary Fiendsmith. What am I talking about? The unnecessary Subterror card in our hand to get our guy back. He's going to go in for the trade again and kill us off the way that he did earlier, which is, I suppose, perfectly fine. He gets the 3k beater on the board, and that's all he's going to do as it passes it back to us. Unfortunately, we have a dead draw here, and due to deck lockdown, we can't really do much, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to synchro these off into Draco Berserker and just pass turn. Conquistador is going to set an Elixir, and we're just hoping to banish anything that he decides to activate, hoping it's something relevant. He does go for the Sapphire Pegasus here, which we are going to choose to banish, just so he doesn't have an extra 4 on the board, but due to Rainbow Bridge of the Heart, he's going to spin back the deck lockdown, which I didn't think that he would do, but I suppose he's going to kill us this turn, and he won't really care that much. He goes for the Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon to get himself a turtle and a Rainbow Dragon. He activates Awakening, revealing the Rainbow Dragon in his hand that was newly drawn to send the trap card that is going to banish itself, search him, Ruby Carbuncle, as well as the Horus field spell once more. Golden Rule is going to do the Obscene combo once again, bringing back the Carbuncle, which we luckily have the negate for. He's going into Cherubini. Cherubini is going to send the Panther to the graveyard. He's going to activate Waltz of the Imperial Tomb. Waltz of the Imperial Tomb is going to search Imseti. Imseti is going to be pitched for the King's Sarcophagus, and you can probably see where this is going. This is... It's insanity how the Horus engine just works. It's very expensive, but my god does it function. He goes for the Horus play once again and just goes into battle this time. With King Sarcophagus, he just gets to destroy our card without battle, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. We're going to go for the Elixir here to summon the Eldritch from the deck, hoping that it can keep up and do something. He goes for the number 38 Hope Ringer here, which obviously stops our play. We're going to go for setting the Conquistador, but that is unfortunately all we can really do. We're going to normal summon the Guru, activate the Guru to flip us face down, just out of shenanigans. He is going to redirect the attack to him, which is perfectly fine, which is what we wanted it to do, so we can send the Reselia, summon him back with 3,500, and hope that's enough. We do have a set Guru at this point. Obviously, we couldn't have activated the deck lockdown. He would have just stopped us. Cherubini is going to pitch another card. He's going to destroy a card using King Sarcophagus for the bridge for Crystal Beacon. Crystal Beacon is going to special summon the Topaz Tiger. He then goes for the Imseti once again, and he punches in here, obviously, so that he activates the Rainbow Bridge to pick it back up to our hand. And it's looking bad. He's going to go for the Guru. Guru's going to get hit. We get to draw a card off of this. And yes, at this point, we could have special summoned our set card and hopefully do something on the crackback. But realistically speaking, he has another Horus. He has an 8 setup. If he outs the Eldritch, which he does on the following turn, we lose the game. So I just decide, you know what? There is no point in running this race. We'll just take the defeat and we'll move on to match number 2. Match number 2 then, we go up against longtime viewer 0UA, who actually manages to join the Lupine Weekly, which made me really happy. He activates Pre-Preparation of Rites, searching himself Dogmatika cards, going for Dogmatika Matrix, searching Dogmatika Calamity. Oh god, this is scary. He goes for Dogmatika Calamity, summoning White Relic of Dogmatika by pitching the Herald. Herald gets to search, and then he activates Ashayan in Chain in order to special summon it. He activates Ashayan here to pick back up the Dogmatika Calamity or whatever, and then goes for Dogmatika Caliber. Caliber summons Albazoa, forcing us to pitch a majority of our extra deck. Then he activates the Dogmatika Matrix to pitch another one. Our hand is looking a Bricky. We opened the Dynamic Duo, but we're going to go for the Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils in order to search a Diabell Star, activating Diabell Star by pitching the Dark Magician to set Reselia. Reselia is a very good card against this deck because most of what we want to do is just exist on the board. We don't really need the extra deck. We pass over after setting Call by the Grave and Elixir. He's going to flick back up Albazoa. Albazoa gets to pitch a couple of more cards, which is perfectly fine. He uses the Dogmatika Matrix to pitch another Herald of the Arclight, searching himself another ritual card from Dogmatika. Dogmatika Calamity pitches the Gulganol in order to summon the Knight. We do activate the Reselia here. During the damage step is very important, which catches him off guard, and which ends up destroying the White Knight of Dogmatika and the White Relic, and then attacking him with Albazoa also destroys that, clearing the entire board for us. Unfortunately, Diabell Star here is going to die, but we're going to flip up Subterra Guru. It's going to get Effect Veilered. We're going to Call by the Grave, but that gets hit with a Ghost Bell, and unfortunately, we don't get a search this turn. We're going to go for the Wanted instead, shuffling back the Reselia in order to get it back to the deck and draw a card. We're going to go for the second Diabell Star, resetting Reselia, as we learn that this is a very powerful loop tool here. We're going to go in for a little bit of damage, but unfortunately, we don't really have much more than that. We also have an Elixir and a Conquistador set here, so it's pretty good. He goes for the Dogmatic Ecclesia. We're going to hit it with a Ghost Organ Snow Rabbit, just so that he can't search Fleur de Lis and start getting over us. He goes for the Maximus Banishing Herald, activating Maximus, pitching 2 more cards. We end up pitching the Dragoon here. He pitches a Garura and an Entis, blowing up the Subterra Guru. We'll go for the Elixir into our Conquistador combo in order to blow up the Maximus, and that is gonna spell the end of this game. We do get a Hidden City here. We're gonna go ahead and search a Guru off of this just to have a negate in case it's something like, I don't know, Radiant Mirror Force? I don't know what people are playing in this format, man. We're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna get everything into attack. We're going to go ham with a negate ready, and that's gonna be game 1 in our favor. Alright then, game number 2, going second with a hand of Super Poly is usually a good thing. Once again, pre-prep of rights searches both the level 4 and the spell. He goes for Gen, summoning Ken. Ken allowing him to draw 2 cards and then discard 1, discarding an Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. Nadir Servant pitching Garura in order to search Dogmatika. Ecclesia is funny as he gets an additional card here and 7 cards in hand, 1 on board, Jesus Christ. Goes for Dogmatika Maximus, activates Maximus. We pitch the Link Spider and Nightmare Phoenix because we do have the Super Poly and need to keep our targets here. He goes for the Herald, searching another card, going for the Dogmatic Calamity, getting White Relic. White Relic boosting the 2 guys and searching Albazoa. Once again, Dogmatika Caliber goes for the Albazoa effect, forcing us to pitch a lot of other cards here. We do pitch from hand a Conquistador, as we feel like that is very necessary. He goes for the Fleur de Lis, but our hand is looking like it might be able to break this fairly easily. We draw an Eldritch, we go for the Super Poly immediately, getting rid of the 2 threats, getting a Garura on the field. Going for the Cursed Eldlan, activating the Eldlan, which gets hit with the Ghost Ogre, which sends a card to the graveyard. We go ahead with the Eldritch play, getting rid of the Maximus, and then looping them around to get them back. We make Moon of the Closed Heaven, not that we're planning to use it, but we need to get cards back into the graveyard somehow. We get a Wanted, which gets Ash Blossom, unfortunately. That would have been super good, but we're just going to go to battle at the end of that entire chain, punch him for a little bit of damage with the Conquistador set, and we're hoping that that is going to be enough. We also get the Hakira trigger here to get another Elixir, but I don't think that will matter as much. On his turn, he's going to go for the Kaiju Slumber, get himself a Dogoran, the Mad Kaiju. He's going to replace our Eldritch with the Kaiju, then special summoning Dogmatic Ecclesia, activating its effect, to which we're going to Elixir and fuck up everything by forgetting to do the combo in the correct order. He gets Dogmatika Matrix, which is interesting. I didn't think he'd search that, but we are going to go ahead and attempt to pop the Matrix immediately. He goes for Pre-Pepper Rights, getting Caliber as well as the Knight. He activates Caliber, gets himself back into Zoa, going for Fleur de Lis the Knighted, and this is fairly bad. He's going to punch over everything on our board. Unfortunately here, leaving our Moon Closet out was probably a bad idea, but we needed to loop for resources, so what do? We only now have 1 guy. We get a Super Poly here, which is super good. We're going to banish for another Hakera. We're going to go to the main phase 1. We are going to get Eldritch up here by sending the Conquistador that is already on the field. We're going to punch over Fleur de Lis just so that he can't keep powering up his board, essentially. He is still stronger than our Eldritch here, which is fine. He draws a Dogoran regardless, so our Eldritch is just dead once more. We're going to take a bunch of damage, but because we are holding that Super Poly, we're basically set. He forces us to send a bunch of more cards. We don't really care. We're going to go ahead and we're going to bring back the Eldritch once again. We're going to go ahead and we are going to go to battle phase, destroying that, going for the Super Poly to get rid of both threats on the board, and then going from Mud Dragon of the Swamp to Punch Face. We get a card here off of Wanted Seeker, and unfortunately we draw Reselia, which is useless to us at the moment. He gets one draw, and of course he draws into Nadir Servant, which is possibly the best draw he could have drawn. Obviously, Entis is unable to target us, but we're just going to make ourselves dark anyway because we find it really funny. He gets himself back into Dogmatika Matrix. He's going to activate the Matrix, get himself Dogmatika Calamity, and Dogmatika Punishment. Now, he can't target the actual dragon because it's Mud Dragon. He can't do that, but anytime we summon anything, we're in a bad spot. We're going to go ahead and set one so we can get the Eldritch back on the board. Eldritch now obviously can't be destroyed. He's going to Punishment it. We're just going to change to Dark. We are going to Punch Face and win due to damage. Luckily for us, we were able to do this just because Eldritch is not able to be destroyed by Card Effect and Mud Dragon being there. Super Poly was absolutely critical here. Without that, we would have been screwed. But we take this round and we go into round 3. Round 3 then, up against Michael, our arch nemesis of not nemesis. We do manage to go first here. We get a Cursed Eldam, which gets immediately hit with the Ash Blossom, which is unfortunate. We go for the Seeker instead then, getting ourselves a Diabell Star. Diabell Star is going to pitch the one card here we can't use, get ourselves Brasilia onto the board, and set one as a bluff and pass. It's not looking good. Michael brought probably one of the coolest decks this week. He's going to go for Emergency Teleport into Kozmo Tin Can. Kozmo in $50 format may seem like a ruse, but it is terrifying. This is an old OTK deck that still kind of works, but loses out due to a lot of people having hand traps and other board breakers that we can't afford. Cosmojo is going to blow up 2 cards on our field as he gets Cosmo Dark Lady during our turn, and now we are essentially Fukarukled. We'll go for Wanted, get ourselves a card here. We're going to search ourselves a card with Cursed Eldland as well, getting ourselves Conquistador. We're going to go for the Diabell Star, sending Cursed Eldland so we can send an Eldritch off and set Silvera. At this point, we're going to go Battle Phase. We're going to punch over the Dark Lady. Go into main phase 2. We are going to special summon the Eldritch using the final battle that we can't use. And during our end step, he goes for Emergency Teleport for Tin Can, so Tin Can can activate its effect, searching Slip Rider. We're searching 3 cards technically, but I believe the one he got is Dark Destroyer. Yeah, there's Dark Destroyer. He pops our Diabell Star, and now we're sitting ducks once more because Cosmo. He goes for the Sword Trooper. Sword Trooper activate its effects. Is going to special summon Dark Lady. He goes to the end phase. We're going to go Conquistador here, popping the Dark Lady. We really do not want to deal with that, and we can't target the Dark Destroyer because it's Dark Destroyer. We get a Terraforming. It hits with the second Ash Blossom, unfortunately, so we have to do a Hail Mary. We go for the IP here in order to get the Eldritch back on the board so we can destroy the Dark Destroyer. It brings back out another Dark Lady, unfortunately, meaning that we're essentially just negated. We have to go for the normal summon of our guy here in order to go into our Moon Goddess, hoping to just clear the board out so that we can basically stay alive for a turn. He draws into Allure, unfortunately, hitting the Allure as well, managing to banish one of the best cards. Goes into Strawman, and Strawman will absolutely screw us up. He goes back into Dark Destroyer, just does the trade because he can. He gets another card off of the Dark Destroyer, getting himself another Tin Can. We have to go for the Scarlet Sanguine here in order to not let him damage us even further, because this is Cosmo. Tin Can is going to search 3 more cards again, and he gets, I believe, a Cosmojo to hand for next turn. We draw a Pot of Prosperity, which could potentially save us here, though the chances of that are slim to none. He gets the Psychic Processor, which is the scariest card ever, because he has to special summon up to 2 Machine Psychic or Cyberse monsters from Banish. They can attack directly this turn. We're fucking dead if that happens. That's essentially his game plan here, to use that card in order to special summon banished Cosmo cards. We go for the Red Eyes Fusion, and we just do a Hail Mary. Can we get it out? We do get it out. We don't have a negate active here, but unfortunately, it doesn't matter, because he ends up having a Super Poly. Yep, Dragoon's biggest weakness is back once more. Super Poly is incredibly effective to deal with him, and at this point, you may as well have the writing on the wall because we have nothing to stop it. He pops the Conquistador as well, just for shits and giggles at this point, I guess, as he goes for the Cosmo Town. Cosmo Town activates in order to get a card back to hand. He goes for the Dark Destroyer, paying 800 life points to do so. Goes to the battle phase, simply beats over our Eldritch. Goes for the 23. Goes for the Emergency Teleport into Farm Girl. That's all 3 E-Tellies, by the way. Goes for another Dark Destroyer. Obviously, he gets to sack the Farm Girl here to summon the Dark Destroyer, and we have officially been Cosmoed in the year 2025 of our Lord. Yeah, a deck with infinite advantage that only really dies to hand traps and other control tools that we can't afford. Who could have guessed that this deck would have been effective? With a loss on our back and a Super Poly in our hand, we're hoping that we can do something this game, but unfortunately, it's looking very bleak. Dimension Shifter doesn't exactly help the situation either here, but we're just gonna normal summon Guru set 2 and hope for the best. Unfortunately for us, an Allure of Darkness is going to hit immediately, allowing him to just simply banish another D-Shifter. Cosmo Town and Tin Can with another Allure that actually loses him his entire hand, which is neat. He goes for the Cosmo Town, getting himself the Forerunner to hand this time, and that is the end of that. We can't really do much either. We draw a Hidden City, which is very good, so we're going to go for the Hidden City, searching ourselves another Fiendess. And then we're just going to go to battle. We'll punch face, we'll negate it with a Fiendess. That flips him down, unfortunately. We're going to flip him back up. We're going to activate its effect to search Final Battle. And pray, I suppose. We do have a negate ready. He goes for another emergency teleport. Same thing as last time, getting Tin Can in the end phase. Tin Can gets its end phase search. We're just going to go ahead and Scarlet Sanguine here just to bring out our boy. He is going to get himself, I believe, Kozmo Strawman, which is one of the worst cards for us, because it's very, very good. Activating Kozmo Town. We are going to negate it with Fiendess here. We're very scared of it. He goes for the Sword Trooper. Sword Trooper, special summoning back the Strawman. We are going to Super Poly here, getting rid of the Strawman immediately. He goes for the Sword Trooper. Sword Trooper is going to summon Forerunner from hand. Forerunner is going to attack, but we're going to negate the attack. That flips open the Guru. Guru searches us the last Fiendess, and now it's a hope and a prayer. We do get to get ourselves another Conquistador onto the board here, but honestly speaking, this isn't very good. That is a very good top deck, though. We're going to go ahead and go for the Cursed Eldland. Cursed Eldland is going to search itself a Hakero. At this point, we're going to Eldritch. We're going to get rid of the Golden Land. The Golden Land is going to search another card. We're going to send the Conquistador. At this point, it is punching face. Unfortunately, he Cosmos us here. We're going to set ourselves to Light. He's going to bring out the Cosmo Slip Rider. Slip Rider is going to pop a back row. He's going to pop the Conquistador. We're going to activate that to blow up the Cosmo Town. Cosmo Town gets a search. We're going to chain everything all at once. Unfortunately, Cosmo Town's search is going to absolutely wreck us here because it's another Cosmo Town. At this point, we're just going to go in for it. We're going to destroy the Slip Rider. Slip Rider dies, and it summons the Wicked Witch. Wicked Witch, of course, can pay 1,000 life points to not be destroyed by battle once per turn. Unfortunately, we can't really do anything to stop that, so we're just going to pass turn. Michael brings out the Cosmo Town, paying for Cosmo Town. We are going to Mud Dragon here to make ourselves light. He grabs Dark Destroyer. He's going to go for the Wicked Witch. Wicked Witch is going to trade into the Mud Dragon, but of course paying 1,000 to not let it die. He goes to the end phase, which is, I suppose, good for us as we draw into the Red Eyes, but unfortunately, our biggest enemy, Ash Blossom, strikes again. We're going to go for the battle. He's going to sack it off with the Dark Destroyer. Dark Destroyer here is going to pop the Eldritch. We are just going to go ahead and set one. We're going to sack and Hakero and bring the Eldritch back to hand at this point. We activated Red Eyes Fusion. We can't special summon it. Cosmo Town is going to once again pay a bunch of life points for the Sword Troopers. Sword Troopers normal summon in order to special summon the Strawman, and here I realize very quickly that bringing the Eldritch back here was a complete unnecessary thing. We should have definitely activated the Hakero in order to banish the Strawman. The Strawman is scary. He goes in for a bazillion damage because he is, of course, Cosmo, and punching face is kind of what he does best, but we aren't dead yet. We're both tied at 1,400 life points, and if we can break the board, we can win. Super Poly is very good at doing exactly that. We take out the two biggest ships, we get ourselves a Garura, and here we can Eldritch again, but unfortunately Cosmo is going to hit us. We're going to Hakero onto the board. We're going to bring out an IP Masquerena to get a draw off of Garura, which is a Cursed Eldland. Interesting. We get ourselves a Hakero, and we have to do some of the funkiest things in the world here. We have to pray that he doesn't open a Cosmo he can deal with us with. We're just going to go ahead as he attempts to go to battle and summon a Unicorn and hope he doesn't have a trade-off, but unfortunately for us, he has the Sword Trooper and Banish. He can pay the 300 to bring him down to 100 life points, take the trade with the Unicorn, and simply punch us for game. We were so close. Running Cosmo out of life points is one of the most effective ways of preventing any of their effects from going off, and he was exactly there to be able to end that game. He could not pay for Strawman, he couldn't pay for Dark Lady, the only thing he could do was bring back Sword Troopers. That's absolutely unfortunate, but Kozmo is a competent deck no matter what people are saying, so in a format like this, I don't know what else I expected. Alright, the final round today, we're playing up against J-Chip from the J-Chip Show, former host of Cube Progression. We are going first once more, we're really winning the dice rolls today. We get a Terraforming into Hidden City searching Guru, and we are off to the races. We are going to set the Guru, use Hidden City to flip the Guru, searching a Fiendess. 1, negate live. We have Diabell Star, we're going to send the Eldritch, activate Diabell Star to get negate number 2 in Silvera. We're then going to set one card and pass with our Ghost Mourner and Negate in hand, and this is a fairly good board. He's going to activate a Warrior of Atlantis for a Legendary Ocean, and we realize now that he's on Umi Control. Umi Control is a problem. I probably should have popped this Ocean immediately, but he goes for the Kairoshin. We're forced to sack something. We're going to negate the Kairoshin, flip down our guy. He goes for the Abyss Shark into Dream Shark combo, now that they're both level 4s, thanks to the field spell. He goes with the Bahamut Shark. We hit this with the Ghost Mourner. We really don't want him to deal with this. And then we have to negate an attack. Guru searches us the Nemesis Archer. Not that we're really able to use it, but it's better than nothing. We're going to get hit by the Bahamut Shark and pass his turn back to us. Dark Magician in hand is Not great. We're going to go for the Eldritch. Eldritch as our only monster here. We're going to go out and we are going to fight straight into the Kaioshin. Sea Stealth Attack would have normally destroyed us, but thanks to not being able to be destroyed by card effects, we're immune this turn. Conquistador is going to blow up the bird. We're going to go for the Nightmare Phoenix, pitch 1 to destroy the field spell, and he hits us with Torrential Tribute, wiping our board, but his board is fairly wiped too, and now we're in top deck war. Electric Jellyfish does not get its negate effect unless there is an Umi on the field, and neither does Sea Stealth Attack. We get an Elixir, which is very, very good for us here at the end phase, and we get an Eldritch in hand. Less good. We're going to go for our big Eldritch here. We're going to get the Conquistador set off of our Scarlet Sanguine. We're going to go to the battle phase. We're going to punch over the stupid Electric Jellyfish that could be a negate at some point and simply pass turn. J-Chip now with 1 card in hand manages to draw into Terraforming, which gets him a Legendary Ocean. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a water monster at the moment, so unless that face down card is a way to get a water monster, Sea Stealth Attack does nothing. We draw Roselia here, but I think we're just going to go for the game. We'll go for Eldritch, pitch it away, and it turns out it's a Torrential Tribute. We'll pop the Sea Stealth Attack too for good measure, go in with both Eldritches, and that'll be game number 1. We still have it once we get set up and get the loop going, man. We can really do some stuff. All right, game number 2 against Umi Control, and now we're forced to going second with a hand that is not very good at going second. Fish Sonar is going to search Ocean Dragon Lord Kaioshin. Fish Sonar is a really wacky card, man. Legendary Ocean into normal summon Kaioshin. Kaioshin is going to search him Sea Stealth Attack, and he already has his combo. He goes for the Abyss Shark once again, Abyss Shark getting himself Dream Shark, and this time we're also going to have to deal with Toad. This is looking less and less good by the minute. Bahamut Shark into Toad, you've all seen this combo before, as he sets 2, passes turn back to us. We get a Cursed Elden, which is very good. We're going to head and go for the Wanted, which he actually doesn't negate, so we do get a Diabell Star for free here, which is pretty good. We're going to go for the Diabell Star, he's going to activate Toad, we're going to chain Called By here to annihilate the Toad and search ourselves for Roselia. We can't have any other monster on the field, so we're just going to have to bite the bullet and force him to activate Sea Stealth Attack. We're going for the Cursed Elden. We're going to use Cursed Elden to search for the Eldritch. We're going to activate the Eldritch effect here in order to send the Bahamut Shark away, but unfortunately he hits a Call by the Grave, and our Eldritch does nothing. At this point, he's going to set 1. He's going to Bahamut Shark. We're going to hit the big card here. He's going to go for Nightmare Shark. Nightmare Shark isn't strong enough to fight Diabell Star, but he just goes in and kills it anyway. I think he just miscalculated what damage it was here. Unfortunately, he's going to see a Stealth Attack and tag out the Bahamut Shark, and we're going to try to combo off on our following turn. We do get a Hidden City off of the draw from Wanted, which gives us a Guru at the very least. We're going to go for the Guru. We're going to flip him up. We're going to search Nemesis Archer for a future turn, which is hopefully very helpful. We're going to go battle phase. He's going to activate Tornado Wall. Yeah, it's Tornado Wall in 2025, folks. What have we succumbed to? We can't really do anything about that right now, so he's going to go for the Abyss Shark. We have to hit this with a negate, otherwise we are absolutely screwed. He normal summons the Abyss Shark in order to trigger the Seal Stealth Attack, which just destroys the Guru. Very unfortunate. Now we're going to go for the Hakeru and the Conquistador, and we have a weird plan. Remember that weird card I told you about earlier? Yeah, we're going into that. We're going to summon Flying Mary here, activating Flying Mary in order to bring back the Eldritch that he banished off of Called by the Graves, and activating the effect to pop the Abyss Shark, paying 800 to search a Conquistador. This is one of the ways that we can actually get this back. It's now also an equip card, meaning we can loop Eldritch using it should we need to. Full back row, we are going to tag out here. I'm going to go back to J-Chip's turn with a big Bazinga. We're going to go ahead and we're going to destroy the Tornado Ball with the Conquistador. He's of course going to trade off the Eldritch here, no surprises there. We're going to go for Elixir, special summoning the second one from the deck and hoping that we can kill him this turn. Hakeru's going to set another Elixir, and the turn is back to us. We draw a Fiendess. Not necessarily useful. We'll curse that, then pinging ourselves 800 for the 3rd time this game, searching another Conquistador. We're going to go for the Eldritch effect here. We're going to send off a card, get a big guy. We're going to marry to pop the Bahamut Shark. We're going to set a Hakeru off of banishing another Scarlet Sanguine. We are going to punch in for a bunch of damage. Unfortunately not lethal, but that is what it is. We're going to set a card and we're going to pass with 2 Eldritches on the board. Double pops ready, both in Hakeru and in Conquistador, as well as a Super Poly, but it doesn't look like he has anything left. We're just going to punch in for face, as he did not draw a monster, and we managed to end this week on 2 and 2. Alright then, that brings us to the end of this week. Let's rate this sucker. Of course, we're going to be rating it on the 5 scales we showed at the beginning of the video, so let's just begin. Our power level this time around gets a score of 4, simply because the end board, while it does have quite a few interactions and fairly decent grind game is still a victim of the years. Most of these engines, excluding possibly Diabellstar, are fairly outdated by today's standards. No combos are really one-card combos, except for Diabellstar exactly, which only searches us a singular piece of negation. It should also be noted that Red Eyes Fusion, of course, locks us out of doing absolutely anything else for the rest of the turn unless we open exactly Hidden City and Guru, and it just isn't enough to really keep up, even in the $50 format. As you saw, there are a lot of decks that can simply pump out advantage time and time again, and it kind of ends up hurting us a lot. But if we do manage to get situated, we do end up with quite a few interactions on the board and follow-up for the rest of the turns, so we're not entirely dead in the water. This, of course, ends up with a low score inconsistency as well, being only a 3. We don't really have a singular one-card combo other than Dragoon himself, and that just isn't really enough. Hidden City can search us a singular negate on the board, but as we saw, that's also not typically enough. We also end up with a lot of bricked hands, even though we're playing 42 cards. I think we opened one piece of the Dragoon puzzle at least in every match, which is statistically improbable, I suppose, but even so, very rarely can we set up the full board of 3 to 4 interactions unless we've opened really well. We do, however, somewhat resist hand traps, but we are fairly weak to Ash Blossom specifically, so I'm giving resistance only a 4. If we get hit by a critical card, such as the Hidden City or our Red Eyes Fusion, we essentially lose our entire turn being unable to do anything, especially with REF. REF is just very outdated at this point, and it's becoming rather obvious that Dragoon just simply can't keep up with today's meta. Sideboarding, on the other hand, we do very well in. We are a control deck after all, and sideboarding into anything we need is super easy, so it gets a 6. And for fun, you know me, I love this deck. Anything that can play our channel mascot definitely gets a couple more points, but realistically, when you do get to control the tool, and breaking boards with this deck is rather enjoyable. You have so many ways of actually battling through interactions on the board, as you saw in games against Lardax as an example, and even though you might not win every game, it's definitely somewhat fun. This ends the deck with a score of 22 points, giving it an E rank, barely above failing, as we consider anything under 20 points to be a waste of time. I would say that you should probably not spend your money on this deck unless you are intending on improving it significantly. This deck gets a hell of a lot better when you can afford hand traps and other control tools that are simply out of our budget. Ash Blossom, Infinite Impermanence, you can afford things like the good trap cards, like not Dominus Impulse, that other one that prevents you from activating Earth or whatever it is. Even other trap cards in the deck could potentially make this much better. It's just that with a $50 budget, it isn't really possible. Anyways, I'd like to thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed, do leave a comment down below on what deck you'd like to see me do next. Do join the Discord in case you too want to play in the Lupine Weekly $50 format. It's free. As always, stay safe out there.